Welcome back to Fox News on the Hill live this Sunday morning. 4 Israeli hostages are getting their first full day of freedom after 240 days of captivity. They were rescued yesterday in Gaza during a deadly raid there. President Biden urging Hamas to release the remaining hostages and to accept a recent ceasefire deal. The president spoke about the rescue of the hostages while on a 5-day official state visit to France. We want to welcome back in Jesse Byrnes. Jesse is a senior editor at The Hill. Jesse, good to have you here this Sunday.
Thanks, Tom.
Starting with the ceasefire. Now, obviously, for the reasons of the fact that this war has been raging on now since October, there is an interest in a lot of parties to obtain a ceasefire. But politically, for the Biden administration, they are heading into a presidential campaign with a serious amount of their left flank right now in open revolt over the policy that the White House has been following in regards to Israel and the Gaza Strip. How important is it for the White House politically for that ceasefire to be in place?
It's huge. You know, we've seen 500,000 Democratic primary voters across the country vote non-committed for Biden because they are protesting this. And they are vowing to protest even all the way through the general election, which is a huge problem for Biden. He needs his coalition, he needs his base to stay together. And so right now, you know, obviously the White House, the administration welcoming these 4 hostages. They have hailed it as a noble endeavor to actually go and rescue them. Daring, they call it. At the same time, they want the ceasefire to happen yesterday. And every day it goes by is another day that they're risking losing support in their base.
At the same time, the presumptive Republican nominee, Donald Trump, has been relatively vague on what policy he would pursue in Gaza, other than saying that he would end it quickly.
That's right.
Do these protesters think that there's any better course of action for the Palestinians under a possible second Trump administration than what's going on right now in the Biden administration?
Well, and I think there's some frustration among Biden allies because to them it's very clear, you know, there is no better alternative than Biden, is their argument. You know, Trump is not going to do anything differently. If anything, he's going to support Israel and their operations even more than the Biden administration has. And so I think that still really hasn't gotten through. And if it has, they're not going to say it publicly because they want the administration to change their policy and change how they are arming Israel.
While this has been going on, we've been treated to almost dueling trials over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the 6-week trial in which Donald Trump was found guilty on 34 felony counts, and then followed last week by the start of the Hunter Biden trial in Delaware. The Biden trial might come to a close tomorrow. However, you know, there has been questions about the political fallout on both sides. It does not seem that the Hunter Biden trial has penetrated the national consciousness the way that the 6-week Trump trial has, or even come close to it.
No, and I don't think there was an expectation that it would. Of course, it's not great for President Biden to have this family drama, you know, very uncomfortable details on public display, really giving the public its first insight into what has been gripping the Biden family for years, stemming from Hunter Biden's former addiction issues. That still is more of a distraction for the Biden campaign than obviously the Trump conviction is for his campaign, which is a much bigger deal.
And still, the president had been trying to limit some of the comments on the Trump trial, but was asked directly this past week, would he pardon his own son? And he said he wouldn't. Was that sending a signal to the electorate about how these different administrations would handle the criminal justice system in this country?
Well, I think that's really the only thing that he can say in this situation, right? He can't say he's going to pardon his son. Of course, the calculus could change after the election, whether he wins or loses. Oftentimes, pardons come at the end of a presidential term, and so it remains to be seen if he actually will change his stance on that.
We are approaching what is going to be a remarkable moment, and it's going to be the first presidential debate we've ever held, at least in modern times, before the nominees actually accept their nomination. There's a lot riding on this right now, and a lot of people still are even wondering to this day if it's going to happen. There have once again on this trip to France been questioned about Joe Biden's ability and stamina in office as well too. Biden though does tend to kind of in high pressure situations like this, like the State of the Union, rise to the occasion. How devastating would it be if he were to stumble once again, in a public setting like a debate?
It would be hugely devastating. The Biden campaign doesn't think that's going to happen. Obviously, they wouldn't have agreed to it if they think that it would. But he does have to replicate, essentially, that State of the Union performance. It can't be kind of a halting performance that we've seen on other occasions. And so I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis going into that debate of trying to set expectations one way or the other.
And finally and quickly, is there pressure on Trump, though, also to be clear about what his policies are and not just get into campaign rhetoric?
Totally. And,
Jesse Byrnes is the senior editor of The Hill, and we appreciate you, as always, for joining us, Jesse. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.